In the field of antiques, by convention, items such as furniture, ceramics, silverware, pewter, valuable collectibles, carpets, tapestries, oriental art, and so on, are considered antique if they were made more than 100 years ago. This way of thinking has its own logic. In fact, if we analyze the definition and meaning of the term, our mind goes to something from a distant era, something that, when compared to the lifespan of a human being, no longer has any living witnesses. If we consider that a human life very rarely exceeds 100 years, the reasoning holds up. An item is considered an antique of its era if it was made during the historical period in which the stylistic and structural elements it features became established. Let me explain better. For example, a piece of furniture from the 18th century that displays stylistic elements that originated and became established during the reign of Louis XV in France can definitely be defined as an antique of its era. On the other hand, another piece made during the Neo-Baroque period, which became established in Europe around the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, can certainly be defined as antique, but it will not be considered of its era. Furniture or objects that are antique or antique of their era are considered authentic if the replaced parts do not exceed a total of 40%. When talking about antique furniture or objects, it becomes inevitable to talk about patina. Personally, and many may disagree, I have always wanted to maintain a distinction between the patina of the material with which an object is built and the object itself. To be more specific, when discussing furniture, we should distinguish between the patina of the piece and the patina of the wood. By patina of the furniture, we mean the superficial layer of dust, waxes, and carbon residues from lanterns and candles that has formed over the centuries. Similarly, the signs of wear and abrasion caused by daily use on drawers and their runners, on the lower stretches of a table base, on edges, and so on in a long list. All these elements constitute the tangible mark of time gone by, and sometimes make the object particularly interesting to collectors. On the other hand, when we speak of the patina of the wood, we should consider the gradual deepening over time of the wood's natural color. The combined action of light, air, ambient heat, and humidity produces various shades of gray and brown in walnut, oak, and chestnut, an orange-reddish hue in cherry and beech, and a straw yellow color in poplar and other softwoods. Furthermore, the grain, that is, the pores of the wood tends over the centuries to become increasingly compact and to shrink, eventually reaching, especially in dry environments, a density comparable to that of bone or marble. This phenomenon occurs only in so-called hardwoods, such as walnut, cherry, and oak. For other woods, known as softwoods, such as poplar and fir, the gradual decrease in internal moisture will lead to a loss of their initial compactness, eventually, even if over a very long period of time, reaching the point of disintegration. Similar considerations should also be made for objects constructed from other materials. For example, consider the natural oxidation of bronze, which should conceptually be regarded as distinct from many other types of surface deposits. By this I mean that the patina of the material must be absolutely preserved in the course of a proper restoration project, while the patina of the object itself is something the restorer must decide based on aesthetic and historical considerations whether to retain in whole or in part, or to remove through cleaning. However, any cleaning must still be carried out carefully so as not to compromise the appearance that the material has acquired through aging processes. Let us now return to a concept we touched on earlier when we spoke about period antiques, which concerns objects referred to as in style or reproductions. Starting from the early decades of the 19th century, and at the same time as the production of what can be defined as period pieces, there was a commercial revival of all the styles that had existed up to that point. The production of so-called in-style furniture or objects began to increase massively, a trend that continues to this day. It started with a neo-Gothic style, then moved on to Neo-Louis XVI, to Neo-Baroque, to Neo-Renaissance, and so on. Designs were created that were strongly inspired by various periods, and in some cases, actual copies were produced. A fake, unlike the furniture we have defined as in style, is a fraudulent reproduction of an object that is created specifically to satisfy the collector's desire for ownership, leading them to believe it is authentic.